We are going to continue with our discussion on this marking scheme. I will first apologize for not completing it in time, but I uploaded some 2 questions, I think, in December. So we are going to continue with the remaining questions. So we have this question which came from the chapter of water, and it says that the Ministry of Health in Uganda carried out research to find out the major sources of cholera and diarrhea. They found out that during the rain season, many people in different parts of Uganda, most especially those living in swampy areas, suffer from cholera and diarrhea caused by inappropriate disposal of sewage. So some people release untreated sewage into water bodies, which leads to diseases. And this question, by the way, all of those questions which I attempted previously, they have support materials. They have support materials which I think I'm going to upload as thumbnails. So you will see those support materials as thumbnails. Now, part A, as a chemistry student, if you were appointed as a technical person at the sewage treatment plant, briefly explain the steps you would use to treat sewage so that the problem of cholera and diarrhea can be minimized. I think this question was carrying around 16 scores. So they want you to briefly explain the steps you would use to treat sewage. Let me hope you've taken note of this question. So we are going to explain the process of sewage treatment briefly. Then we shall proceed to the other part. So the process of sewage treatment fundamentally involves 3 stages. We have, this is part A. We have screening. We are going to explain them in detail. Screening, then we have primary treatment. Then we have secondary. We have screening, primary treatment, and secondary treatment. So under primary treatment, we shall have sedimentation. Then secondary treatment, we shall have biological treatment. Then we shall also have chlorination. We are going to explain them in detail. So I'm going to explain these stages by, you take note of this part B, where we are going to identify benefits of treated sewage. I'm going to make use of the question. They did not specify whether we should use a drawing or we should just describe, but I think it was open. It was an open question. So I'm going to come up with this simple model. I'm and I will use that simple model to explain some of these stages. So screening at first, sewage is first screened to remove large pieces of rubbish. So we are going to have something of this sort. Now we can continue with our description. So we have this model. So this model is going to help us interpret those three fundamental stages of screening, primary treatment, and secondary treatment. So screening, we have this tank, this first tank, where we are having this bus screen. This bus screen is kind of a sieve which is used to remove large pieces of rubbish. For them, they are trapped at that stage. Now, after leaving them at that stage, we remain with the sewage. Sewage which does not contain large pieces of rubbish. For example, we can take note of plastic bottles, maybe polythene bags, such things. Now, I can call this part A. Then part B, we have grit and sand removal tank. So here at this stage, we are going to remove particles of solid which are within sewage. So we remove particles of solid or solid substances which are within sewage. For them, they are left at this stage. Now, if we proceed, we shall have this is the grit and sand removal tank. Then we have the first sedimentation tank. So we call this stage the stage of primary treatment. Within this first tank and the second tank, we are not treating sewage. Basically, we are just removing substances within that sewage. Now, the fundamental treatment process starts with primary treatment. Now, with primary treatment, we have the first sedimentation tank. The first sedimentation tank, whereby within this tank, we are going to make substances of solid which are fine in nature. The fine substances of solid are going to settle at the bottom. This grit and sand removal tank, for it removes substances which are not fine in nature, but they are somehow moderate in size. But within this sedimentation tank, those particles they continue to break down particles into small pieces of sediments, very fine particles. They make them fine such that they become or they form part of sludge. So that's the use of this first sedimentation tank. Now we have also the aeration tank, whereby we introduce, this is also known as the biological treatment stage or the secondary treatment stage, where they introduce aerobic bacteria. Aerobic bacteria, they are aerobic because they work in the presence of oxygen. So that's why we have to let in compressed air such that we facilitate the activity of the aerobic bacteria. So here we have aerobic bacteria, which will continue feeding on, they feed on harmful particles to make them harmless. So at this stage, you can also add some chemicals to precipitate ions. Then we proceed with the second sedimentation tank, where we can introduce chlorine. So chlorine should be added in such a way that we don't use large quantities. Yes, because remember, after treating this sewage, you have to also form two substances, sludge and effluent. Effluent will be disposed in water bodies, so you need to use a moderate concentration of chlorine such that you do not introduce scales in water bodies. So chlorine will make this effluent, or will convert the sewage. Particularly for it deals with this effluent. It will make the untreated sewage to become treated in such a way that it kills some of the substances which were not removed in these previous stages. But we can also use other substances like fluorine. We can also use potassium, aluminum sulfate, such things. We can also use hydrogen peroxide, etc., etc. So we have screening, whereby here we remove. So this involves removal. This involves removal of large pieces of rubbish, using a bar screen. Then we have primary treatment. Primary treatment, or sedimentation. Primary treatment. Here we have sewage. Sewage is being converted to small sediments. Through sedimentation. Forms part of the solid waste, which is known as sludge. It forms part of the solid waste. Forms part of the solid. You can come in. And forms part of the solid waste. And then we can also add substances. So substances, some chemicals, e.g. potassium, potassium, aluminium, aluminium sulfate, can be added to precipitate ions from sewage. Can be added precipitate ions from sewage. Sewage, so that they form part of sludge. That is form part of sludge. Now we have the secondary treatment stage. Let me hope you've taken note of that model. We have the secondary treatment stage. We have the secondary treatment. So this is also known as the biological treatment stage. Is also known as the biological treatment stage. So at this stage we introduce bacteria where, let us call them where aerobic decomposing bacteria are introduced to feed on harmful particles, to make them harmless. Feed on harmful particles to make them harmless. Then what else we have? We have chlorination, whereby we add chlorine to sewage. After adding chlorine to sewage, we add chlorine to sewage to form treated effluent, which is discharged into water bodies. Form treated effluent which is discharged into water bodies. So what else? I think that is the process. Then we had also part B, uses of treated sewage. So when sewage is treated, we form sludge and effluent. So treated part B, we are going to say that treated sewage results in formation of sludge. Sludge is solid waste, then effluent is the liquid waste. Treated sewage results in formation of sludge which has which has a number of users, which has a number. Results information of slide, which has a number of users. That is to say, so it can be used in. By the way, you should paragraph your work. Yes, you should paragraph your work. You shouldn't bullet. You shouldn't bullet these stages. You must be presented in paragraph form. Paragraph your work. So, which has a number of users, which include we have used in. It is used in making of biogas. That is one. Used in manufacture, using manufacture of fertilizers, using manufacture of fertilizers. What else? It is used in road construction. Used in road construction, particularly to make tarmac roads. What else? It is also used in feeding of it is used in making biogas, manufacture of fertilizers, road construction, used in feeding of potholes, in quarries, feeding of potholes in quarries. So those are some of the uses of treated sewage. It is also information of slide which has those uses, I think that is the last question of this assessment. There were 4 questions, and each question was carrying 20 marks. This is the last question. So in the next video, I'll be uploading some of the fundamental concepts in stoichiometry and mole concept. Yeah.